Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. As a lot of you know, yesterday was a really special day where families came together, united around the dinner table for one special occasion. Finally, a new episode of The Assistant. I don't even want to get that far into my feelings on it yet because it would just detract from my special co hosts. Kelly Toole, say hi to everyone.
Hi, everybody. Glad to be here. Glad that they gave me a day off of work to listen and watch The Assistant over and over again.
And Tony, would you like to say anything to everyone?
Um, Although I actually did have to work today, I'd like to say I was happy that nothing was going on, and I was able to. I was very thankful that the assistant is back up and running.
Now, Kelly, before we even get into talking about the first episode of the second season of The Assistant, I can't even believe that I'm saying those words. It's one of those things that you just sit back and think about, like world peace or ending hunger or just free weed from vending machines, that you just don't think is really going to happen. You said that you had something to say about the teaser for it as well, didn't you?
I did, and I think we could do 6 shows on the parallels between The Assistants and Star Wars, in terms of its impact on society, the depth of writing, the character development. But I really was struck with the teaser trailer, with it coming out, and then all the Force Awakened ones almost paling in comparison to the Assistant teaser trailer. But I saw parallels too, and I'm sure they kind of ripped Dylan off. But you had that same kind of breathy voiceover at the beginning of both the Assistant teaser trailer and the Star Wars teaser trailers. And then the thing, of course, all the fanboys get really excited when they see former characters from what you knew from the original classic Assistant showing up here. And so we got to see a little bit of Jinx, who, I had no idea if for Assistant 2, whether Jinx, they were going to be able to contract with him and get him in. And sure, like Mark Hamill, he's a lot heavier now, probably a little bit slower, but it was really great to see him. And I'm sure they'll probably do some CGI to make him look a little more young in some of the future Assistant episodes. So I just thought there was a lot of parallels between the two, and I wanted to mention that.
Now, speaking of using CGI to age someone backwards a little bit because they've let themselves go during the break, what do you think, like, who else do you think that we're going to see? And would it bother you seeing a cat with that much work done to it?
I don't think plastic surgery and cats don't mix. Personally, I
Okay.
think it never really looks the same. You never. I
See,
think I've never seen a cat successfully have plastic surgery. It always looks
so you think that Dylan is left with no option but CGI?
CGI and shooting from far away, as you saw in that initial clip. Is that Jinx was there, but he kept the camera pretty far back.
I'm gonna disagree with Kelly there because um, my niece has a dog, Leo, and he's a little thing, but he's got very curly hair, and he fluffs out. And when he gets his hair cut, he looks like a skinny little thing, and it's amazing how small the dog really is when he's got a haircut. So maybe with some um, good groomers, Hollywood style grooming, they could the appearance would be, you get some of that excess hair off the cat. Um, it would probably be less expensive to do something like that than to go out and spend the money and do the CGI. Um,
It's a good point. And
plus,
actually,
plus, you get a cat haircut.
right, if you could do it, you could probably even do it yourself. I think you can probably buy a pair of clippers and
Well, they used to. Do you remember that product called the Flowbee? It
yeah,
was, yeah, you hook it up to a vacuum. It was a trimmer. You hooked it up to your vacuum, and it was a hair trimmer, and everything it cut off, it sucked right into the vacuum. It was a perfect invention. So yeah, and not only do you get to write it off because you used it in the production of the movie or the show, but you get to keep it forever and ever and ever. Get old,
The
put it on a
device
kid's
or the
head.
hair?
The device and the hair, you could always, um, use that to make sweaters and stuff.
I think honestly, just selling bags of cat hair seems like it's a solid business move
I'm,
because you can use it for anything. You could
I'm,
stuff pillows, you could make clothing.
I think someplace in Asia they probably think cat hair is some kind of, you know, aphrodisiac and some kind of potency used as an ingredient in a potency formula. You get rhino horn and some cat hair, and you mix it all together with a couple of eggs and you drink it. Then you run up the steps. You know,
I don't know about you guys, but nothing really gets me going like some freshly shorn hair.
I got nothing on that.
I was
I
just
got nothing on that.
there are
Sorry.
certain places that hair could come from that is definitely a little bit more exciting than other places. Let's just say.
Excellent points of view from both of you guys. It'll be interesting to see what Dylan does moving forward as far as all that goes. Is he going to go CGI heavy? Is it just going to be working the camera angles like Kelly said? Maybe he's going to go and shave his cat. Maybe somehow he'll work that into the storyline. He plans a lot of this stuff in advance, I'm sure, so he already knows where he's going to go. All we can do as fans is just speculate on it.
It's true.
Now, getting to the first episode, before we even talk about the content of the episode, how did you guys feel when the link went up?
I was floored, and I just want to add, um, this story is kind of based on a universe that was created by um, Doctor Who, and I had a very limited knowledge, and I still have a limited knowledge of Doctor Who. However, since the last assistant episode, I was able to watch from Eccleston all the way up to Mr. Capaldi. I watched every episode more than once, so I am fully caught up to turn with the modern Doctor, and I understand the allure. And I actually am going to go back and watch the first season again in a binge, hopefully over this weekend, because more of it will probably make sense to me. So, but I was overjoyed. I was like, oh, it's Thanksgiving, and here we go.
I also was awful excited, and like Tony, I had to dedicate myself to kind of making sure I'd be a better viewer of the assistant. But rather than go down the Doctor Who route, I focused more on time. So I bought another watch, so I got two watches now. When daylight saving times came, I was the one that adjusted all the clocks in the house at that point in time, and then I found a world clock website, and I've bookmarked that. So.
Now, with these two watches, are you going to go one on each wrist or both on the same arm?
Well, I put them into a rotation at this point in time. There's kind of and it's like a weekend watch and a during the week watch, and so holidays are challenging.
I was going to say, is there a third watch? Do you throw into the mix or maybe switch out the band?
I think I'm going to have to do that. I haven't been able to. I want to make sure I make the right choices here, but I think that's where we're going.
You don't want to just jump into something like this all willy-nilly.
No.
You really want to think about it beforehand.
And then when I wear the watch, I actually do look at it several times each day.
Now, are these digital watches?
They have the little sticky things that go and point at the numbers, so I don't know if that makes it digital or not, but that's the kind they are.
Oh,
I like it.
Analog.
Hands. I think.
So did you have to go to some kind of special class to learn how to tell what those positions of the arms meant?
That's cartography, correct?
I believe so. I have not. I'm probably gonna just the way things are at right now, it's going to have to be kind of an online class. I'm assuming Phoenix University has some material I can cover on
You
that.
know what might be helpful if you got a paper dish and you got a straw and you had one long piece and one shorter piece and you put a tack in the middle and you put the numbers around the outside and you had somebody move the arms and then quiz you on it like flashcards.
Well, see, the problem with this right off the bat, it's a great idea, but now someone else also has to learn how to read time.
Right. And then I was feeling pretty good about it until this episode of The Assistant, where I've learned so much more about time that I was unaware of, and and my watch does not have like between the minutes setting that I can tell.
You know what you can do. Um, well, at least on my phone, my cell phone, it has the clock, and I have it in digital format. But I can switch over to those with two little sticky things. Um, and so if if the clock says it's 11:27, if you switch over to the with the sticky thing, you'll see what position those are in, and that's another way of learning, how to read what those positions mean. I think that would be awesome.
I'll look into that. Sounds good.
Yeah, you always want to make sure you're using the right positions when dealing with sticky things.
And when you're shaving your cat.
Now, you did bring up an important element of this episode, which is time between minutes. Why don't you explain to our viewers who maybe haven't watched The Assistant yet? Shame! Who haven't watched The Assistant yet. Explain to them what that means.
So, spoiler alert, we'll be talking about all the activity in Assistant up to the most current episode of The Assistant. So if you aren't fully caught up, as Mike said, shame. But you probably want to tune out now because we'll spoil it for you. So, again, being a time novice, I'll give at least my understanding, and then I'd be interested what you guys think. But as I understand it, amongst as Dylan came back he now has full awareness of he's no more gaps in his memory, although apparently there's a little gap towards the end about where Gary is exactly, but for the most part, no gaps in memory. And he only, so this is a spoiler alert, folks. He only has 36 hours to live, but because he can live in between the minutes and he's learned how to do that, what would feel like 36 hours to us, it's going to be much different. It could happen over a much, much longer period of time. And so when he's between the minutes, things travel slowly, and so he's kind of between time, and that's why people can't see him.
Well,
How'd I do?
I think you hit it right on the head, but there was another little disclaimer, and spoiler again, people. I also think he mentioned that if he was to go and do anything like go back in time or do any kind of time traveling, there would be some kind of penalty. And he wasn't exactly clear on how that worked, but if he went back in time and did something, it would cost him time. So it would actually make his clock move a little bit faster, or that time would have to be reduced from his 36 hours. But that we'll have to see how that plays out as we go into the episodes, because this first episode, he really did a lot of recapping and summarizing of where he's been and where he's at now. So there wasn't a lot of new information. However, there was one thing that appeared in the episode that really blew me away, and that was the sonic screwdriver. And he's got a sonic screwdriver, and I want one. I want one really bad. I want a good one. I want one that's metal. I want one that works. I think that was awesome cool.
Now, if you gentlemen, say, found out that you only had 36 hours to live, aside from murder, which I have to assume is all of our go-to, what would you do with your last 36 hours?
Jenna Coleman. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying Jenna Coleman.
I would leverage the heck out of my Amazon Prime uh, membership. Ooh, but that's 48 hours, isn't it? 2 day shipping. Oh, I'd have to see if I could upgrade my Amazon Prime to something that worked a little quicker. So
Well, wouldn't you be burdening people with the bills after you were gone, though?
that's not my concern.
No, that's theirs to worry about at that
Exactly.
point. If they loved you, they would understand.
Absolutely. Well, that could be a problem. So, but we'll still do that. But yeah, how about you, Mike? So this should be intriguing.
Other than murder,
Other than
just to make sure we're all still on the same page with that. I don't know. I mean, of course, I'm tempted to say arson, but I just feel like it's been done. You need to find something new, some splashy way to go out, because I've always known ever since I was a child that when I die, I'm going out the same way I came in, just bloody, naked, and screaming. So it's really just a question. The in-between is all about how I get back there. And if I only had 36 hours, I'm going as big and over the top and spectacular as I can.
Well, I think I would wait. If I was going to do something like that, I would make sure I was down to 35 hours in like 10 seconds. Because, I mean, you wouldn't want to have some kind of elaborate thing that you were going to do that was going to take such a long time. Um, you know, um, it just, why squander the whole time? You could always Jenna Coleman.
I know one thing I wouldn't do is watch Troll 2 during any of those 36 hours.
You did bring up something good there, though. Like, say you only had 36 hours left, and you were going to devote an hour and a half or 2 hours to watching a film. What would the last film be?
Army of Darkness. For me.
If there was a way of prolonging that 36 hours, like going to sleep or something, so it could be years, because I would wake up right after the last Star Wars movie came out and then binge watch all three, with chubby Luke Skywalker and um, uh, Princess Leia and Mr. Plane Crash, Harrison Ford.
Maybe they will shave Luke. Maybe that's something we can look forward to in future episodes.
Or they could put him inside of a tauntaun, and the tauntaun could look fat, but Luke would look thin inside the tauntaun. And then they could shave the tauntaun and make the tauntaun look a little thinner.
I know one last thing I would do with 36 hours left is I would upgrade my sunglasses. At least, based on this episode, because apparently the sunglasses that he stole from the people holding him, they're time glasses that go along with his time jacket and time watch.
Well, the newest Doctor does not use a sonic screwdriver. He's got sonic glasses, so they're also usable as a tool.
So you can use different devices to screw things sonically.
It's not actually a screwdriver. It's just what it's called. It's a tool. But one of the things I wouldn't do, like if you were someone like John McGivney, you might go to Best Buy and camp out, hoping to get a Good Friday deal on The Assistant Season 1 DVD, to find out you wasted 18 of those 36 hours online waiting, and there was no DVD available. Time better spent in your house watching The Assistant for free on YouTube.
And aren't they only going to be released on Laserdisc anyway? From a fidelity, didn't Dylan insist on that?
Fingers crossed. And remember, don't glue the discs together. I don't want laser rot in my collection.
Fair enough.
Oh, and with my last 36 hours, I'm thinking heroin.
The Velvet Underground song? Because that'll only be a couple minutes, just if I recall correctly.
Repeat.
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
They have Apple Music for Android now, so.
Well, there you go.
So would considering that we just passed Thanksgiving, I would take it that you wouldn't give Alice's Restaurant a listen one last time, would you, Mike?
No, I'm not a huge Thanksgiving person, so the various and lengthy list of Thanksgiving-related songs don't get a whole lot of play in my house. We tend to just skip to the better-known holidays. So we sail right past Christmas with no Christmas music, and just get right into New Year's standards.
What exactly are New Year's standards, Mike? I apologize for not.
Oh, it's no problem. Actually, I'll share out a playlist with you.
Oh, there you go. That'd be great. We can put that in the notes on the episode here. We can have Mike's New Year's standards playlist. That would be a nice addition.
It would.
A lot of people appreciate that. But back to 36 hours, a longer assistant than some.
Sometimes you just need more ass.
Yeah, and I think there was a lot of that this episode. He has the keys to his TARDIS. He wasn't able to actually produce them. There seemed to be some hand-to-bag related issue that he had there. But
now, is that Tony and Kelly, since you guys are more familiar with the source material than I am, is that a thing where there's like hand and bag issues? Have the other doctors had issues with things like that?
There was some jokes about it. One of the doctors could close the TARDIS by doing like a clap. Another doctor had a key. It was just a plain key, but he could push it, and it would make that electronic noise that when you close the car, it did that little chirp. But Dylan has he's all bag. He's got a big bag, and the bag appeared. I mean, you saw it fleetingly. Definitely he's all bag, big bag.
he teased the bag.
Yes.
It was like bag cleavage.
But it was orange, so I wonder if he was just trying to throw a little bit of an homage over to The Walking Dead with that orange knapsack that always seems to still be around. I mean, it hasn't popped up in a while, but it was popping up all over the place in previous seasons, and it just so happened that his bag was orange. But he's got all sorts of tools, and he seems he's got a lot of energy, and he seems focused. So we'll see. He's got his tools.
Yeah, and I don't. So Tony's definitely got the strength on current Doctor Who lore, having seen all those episodes and several of them repeatedly. So he's got to have that covered. My familiarities with kind of the earlier Doctor Who, and it was fairly, a lot of the Time Lords were lost to hand and bag disease, and that was kind of known, and so it was not unusual as an issue in the earlier Doctor Who prior to the current era.
So you think that this could be sort of a throwback reference to that?
Yeah, I think he's reaching back to those bags.
Um, I wonder if he's going to have something along the lines of every doctor, current doctor, has something that's called psychic paper. And a lot of times when they're in a situation where they've got to produce some sort of an ID, it's just a blank piece of paper that they can show you. And they have no control over what it says, but it always says the right thing to get them to do whatever they've got to do. Oh, you're Chief Inspector Whoozy Watsits. Come on over. We can let you into this, secure area, and you can do your job. Um, but that would only come in handy as if there was other characters besides Dylan and Jinx, because there is no need for psychic paper to be used on a cat.
Are psychic papers flammable?
Yes.
Psychic cat litter might be a possibility here. We'll see. And there's a juice. There's a liquid that was also in the teaser trailer beneath the note. And apparently this is what's going to be keeping Dylan alive for the 36 hours. And in the teaser, it showed that he had 8 of them. So, and he was busily working on one in the first episode. So we'll probably need to keep track of how many of those he has and where that puts us in his timeline.
What do you think the budget was for that first episode that was so long?
Well, I haven't priced Gatorade recently, but
I did notice that whatever juice he was drinking, there was no identifying label on it.
But I'm sure that was against their wish. I'm sure they wanted the product placement, and Dylan, being the artist that he is, said, I will have none of that. And so I'm sure that was his choice.
Makes sense.
Mike, you being a filmmaker, what would you think the budget was for that first episode? Now, it was 9 minutes long. It was probably shorter when he made it because he was making it in between the minutes.
Well, I did just direct a scene for a new feature film that's coming out. And I would say that the budget for this was probably slightly more than that because I didn't buy anyone a Gatorade.
Okay, so it was slightly more than...
Let's see, I think I spent $40 or so. So I'm saying he's somewhere in that range because you have to think the glasses, obviously, that was a big ticket purchase.
I think that sonic screwdriver had to be at least that.
And then you have the sonic screwdriver, you have the Gatorade. It's pretty tough. And the bag, not that we got a great look at the bag, but, it didn't materialize out of nowhere. It's another prop that needed to be purchased. So I'm feeling like this was a pretty high-budget episode. I wouldn't be surprised if he runs into union issues because of it.
Yeah, he may have to do a bottle episode to kind of keep the production costs down for a future one. Really try and tighten it up.
Yeah.
He can fake drink it, too. He doesn't actually have to.
It's tough, though. Like, I don't know if you're a Gatorade drinker, but as soon as that Gatorade, probably mixed with vodka, hits your lips, it's tough to stop drinking it.
I prefer it mixed with Monster energy drink or, 5-hour energy or one of those. Have you ever done a cocktail with, like, vodka, Monster, and Gatorade?
No, I can't say that I have. Maybe that's something that we need to try on a future episode of Talking Ass.
Talking to Ass.
Talking to Ass, I'm sorry. And Kelly, would you like to explain that title to everyone?
Well, it's Talking to Assistant, of course, is the formal name, but since we're all friends, we shorten it to Talking to Ass. And since this is the assistant too, we consulted with some, expensive ad agencies, and they recommended to us that we rebrand our show to talking to assistant with the hashtag friendly talk to ass.
Which I like that you brought up since we're all friends, because that's what friends do. They go straight for the ass.
Yep.
Or big.
Now, is there anything else you guys would like to add about this first episode?
Just the Dusters seem so. Tony, are the Dusters a reference point in the current Doctor Who world, or are these a new issue?
I think the Dusters, because they are creatures that are also in between the minutes, are a Dylan invention. And when he first mentioned Duster, I thought maybe he was talking about a Dodge Duster, and then maybe I thought he was talking about a vacuum. But they are another alien species that I don't think were involved in the first season, only because he didn't have his memory and he wasn't living in between the minutes. And when he's in between the minutes, he's got to watch out for them, because that's where I guess they hunt and stuff. So I think they're just a side problem that he has to deal with when he's in between the minutes. I'm not sure if he was really clear if they were part of the main storyline. They may be just a separate arc on the side.
So I'm looking forward to seeing a little more about them. Maybe a gang of them that attack Dylan at some point in time. That could be an interesting fight scene. I don't know if they're visible or invisible.
They are invisible, so.
Maybe we've hit on something here, though, because we were talking earlier about shaving cats, stuff with the cat hair, and now we know that the primary villains he's about to face off against are called the Dusters. So are we going to see something with cat hair maybe spilled all over Dylan's house?
With some glue, so if a duster comes through, they'd be covered in cat hair and then therefore visible. That would be interesting.
We can only wait to find out.
Well, yeah, unless you guys have anything else to add, I think I can go ahead and wrap this one up then.
Just thank you, Dylan, for returning to a second season. I'm looking forward to seeing more.
Yeah, I can't wait. We're really going to take our time, appreciate what we have, and savor that ass.
I agree.